Welcome to this week's Checkered Flag. Once again, we're at the scenic Oulton Park. This time the Lotus Elise boys have taken the weekend off, so it's going to be a bit of a Renault fest with the penultimate rounds of the Renault Clios and the Renault 2000s. But this time we'll also be looking at the European version of the Renault 2000s and seeing how some of the Brits have fared. One man who fared okay at Brands Hatch was Kimi Räikkönen, the young Finn clinching the title with his 7th win of the season. Manor teammate Danny Watts almost did the Brands Hatch double, but by the time he'd pounced on Räikkönen's slip, the red flags were out. Leighton Walker's chance of runner-up spot ended with a huge shunt involving Carl Breeze, but both drivers were okay, and the battle for second place in the championships is now down to Ryan Dalziel and Tom Sisley. A double-header in the Lotus Championship gave some drivers a chance to score big points, and yours truly the opportunity to race back at the sharp end of the field, for a couple of corners anyway. At the front of the field, a star of the future was emerging. Hyler Breeze, in his first ever Lotus meeting, had Brands Hatch buzzing. First he took Adam Wilcox after Spencer Marsh had given the championship leader a friendly tap, and then, as they came round Graham Hill Bend, Marsh kindly pulled over to give the young Australian his second win of the weekend. Race of the day, though, went to the Renault Clios, and save of the day, well, that went to Jim Edwards with this handy piece of handling. Championship rival Daniel Buxton was also having problems, but Henry Taylor kept his slim title chances alive with a tidy second place. Edwards, though, was too popular for his own good. First, David Gibson said hello, and then, feeling somewhat left out, Matt Jackson got in on the act. Edwards got the message though and settled for a safer 4th place. However, barring a disaster, he should wrap up the title this weekend. Oulton Park is picturesque, but it's also very demanding. Last time we looked at 2 or 3 of the more attention-grabbing corners, so let's look at some of the others. Take the first corner, for example, here, Old Hall. It looks innocuous enough, but you try funneling 20 cars through here on the opening lap, and I can tell you this corner takes no prisoners. There's a short, grassy runoff, no gravel trap, and just hard, unforgiving barriers. In fact, there's more body contact here on the opening lap than in a good, steamy movie, as some of the drivers found out last time we were here in May. For those drivers who got through the first corner, they'll eventually arrive here, Knickerbrook. There's a great story as to why this corner was so named, but as it's a family show, I think we'll bypass that one for the moment. But I think when they designed this corner, they gave somebody a bottle of whiskey and a tarmac laying machine. It's probably the least satisfying corner to drive on any British circuit. It's very narrow on entry, it doesn't allow real overtaking, it's got huge curves all the way through, and to cap it all, they put this tyre fitting bay there. And when you do get through the corner, on the exit, it can be really treacherous. There's just a big tyre wall awaiting for you if you make a mistake. Believe me, I know. I've been there. I hit it at 101 miles an hour about 3 or 4 years ago. And then you climb up Clay Hill, which perhaps demonstrates the unique character of Oulton Park. When they built this place, they didn't have a bulldozer or a spirit level. They just laid the tarmac on the natural undulations, warts and all. So up Clay Hill, you're doing about 130, 140 miles an hour in 6th gear. A really exciting piece of the circuit. Having negotiated the fearsome Druids corner, you then come down the back straight before arriving at the last corner, here, Lodge. It's a classic Oulton Park corner. It's not normal in any way because, as you see, it dips down on entry and then rises up over this crest before dropping down into the cutely named Deer's Leap. It's the best overtaking point on the circuit, taken in 2nd or 3rd gear, and all the cars scrabble for grip as they drop down because the cars all go light, and it's the classic last lap overtaking point. So that's Oulton Park, Britain's most colourful circuit, full of character. The Clios are out first, so let's see how they rise to the challenge. It's over to Steve Slater.
Although Jim Edwards Jr. is in line to clinch the title at round 11 of the Elf Clio Renault Sport Cup at Oulton Park, it's been a long time since he won a race. Mind you, when he last did in round 6 at Silverstone in June, it was a cracker. Edwards had fought his way back to get alongside Daniel Buxton on the very last lap, and it turned into one of the best dices Silverstone has ever seen. And it went all the way to the checkered flag. Perfect racecraft, inch-perfect dicing by both drivers, and a photo finish with the 2 drivers matched to 1,000th of a second. Edwards was given the verdict by the stewards by the thickness of the paint on his front bumper, but since then he's been playing for the points and trying to stay out of trouble, although that hasn't proved too easy, as proved in the last race at Brands Hatch.
I've been taking it a bit steady of late to try and keep out of trouble, and it hasn't really done me a great deal of good, to be honest. Whilst I've still managed to bring in the points, you get beaten around quite a bit, so I think I've sort of learned a few lessons, and I'll be going for it.
Well, there's still a battle on for second place in the championship between Taylor and Buxton, but Edwards has a 58-point lead. So, what's the strategy?
What I want to do is, if I can be in the first two places at the beginning of the race, the field will naturally spread out, and you can, in the mirror, you can just pick your moment and just slot in where you think is most comfortable. Qualifying has shown that I've got the pace to win the race, and as a benefit of the tyres, because they're in good shape, I'm actually sitting here today thinking I fancy a win.
Well, a relaxed Edwards Jr. will start outside on the front row of the grid, and it's a family affair too, with Dad, Jim Edwards Sr. starting 5th, his best qualifying of the year. He's a veteran. He started racing Mini Coopers and Lotus Cortinas in the 1960s, but he's as quick as ever.
Well, it's always nice to be there, isn't it? Just to sort of, keep a look over his shoulder, but keep it clean maybe, but hopefully, I don't need to be there for any other reason as to have a good race, but, I'm pleased I'm up there, he's pleased. Don't want to preempt anything, but it's looking good for him, and, let's hope he can wrap it up.
I'd be pleased for him if he could get on the podium and I could win the race. I'd be chuffed to bits with that. That'd be a really great weekend. Better to have him there than not, put it that way.
A dramatic qualifying session though for local hero Daniel Buxton from Northwich. He claimed pole position faster even than some of the touring cars, but then piled it into the barriers at the 100-mile-an-hour Druids Corner. That he's starting the race at all is a testimony both to the strength of the Renault Clio and the skill of the Chris Hodgetts motorsport mechanics.
I don't know how I got away with that. Laws of physics said the car should be destroyed at that sort of speed. But hopefully it'll be okay. Hopefully it's just panel damage. The car got written off at Oulton Park earlier in the year, and in 3 days they totally rebuilt it, new shell, everything new. That was absolutely magnificent. But so they don't need to prove anything to me, but they're flat out on it now. Hope to get everything right for tomorrow. I can't really influence the championship in terms of first anymore. Concentrate on winning the race from the first lap. Hopefully I can dominate, but I've seen it all before. Hopefully I'll do it this time.
Well, they do get the car onto the grid in pole position for Daniel Buxton, Jim Edwards Jr. alongside of him. Then it's David Gibson and Henry Taylor, Jim Edwards Sr. on row 3 with Peter Sowerby ahead of Jason Templeman and Rick Pearson, Matt Jackson and Ray McDowell completing the top 10. Andy Thompson, Jan Prowse, Mark Hunt, Bob Smith, Simon Clark, Mark Burton, the first 8 rows of a capacity grid for 14 laps of the island circuit. Jim Edwards Jr.'s view from the outside of the front row as the lights go from red to green. And is it going to be the silver and blue, or is it going to be the yellow? And it is a great start from young Danny Buxton, but it is 3 abreast down into Old Hall Corner, and that is the big squeeze. Oh, and a bigger squeeze behind, a spin there from number 25, Jan Prowse, clipped there by Jason Templeman as he moved across to take the line, but in the race lead, Daniel Buxton with Jim Edwards Jr. going down the outside of him. Can he hold on there? No, he can't. And Jim Edwards Jr. loses ground. Up into second place goes number 88, Henry Taylor. There he is, riding shotgun now on Daniel Buxton and making a move as they head up to the island hairpin for the first time. Buxton, though, has the inside line. Henry Taylor going very late on the brakes and going all the way around the outside of Buxton. Can he make that stick? The answer's no, but he carves across to take David Gibson down into third place. And in the melee there, Jim Edwards Jr. has backed off. He is in fourth position in the silver, blue and green car. But at the head of the field, it's Henry Taylor going around the outside now of Daniel Buxton, holding onto the race lead down into Knickerbrook. Third place, David Gibson, number 1. Then Jim Edwards Jr., Peter Sowerby, Jim Edwards Sr. and Jason Templeman in 7th place. Now looking back from Daniel Buxton's car, there's the number 1 car, David Gibson, 3rd place and closing in. Up to the top of Clay Hill now. This is where he had the big accident. First lap, you don't want to push too hard on the cold tyres. And then number 10, a little bit of a dent in the nose there. He was the one involved in the first corner incident. But Jason Templeman's still there in that 7th place, pushing hard. Down into Lodge Corner though for the leaders. Henry Taylor, pursued by Daniel Buxton, still being followed by the blue and red. Car number 1, David Gibson. Jim Edwards Jr. in 4th place, driving conservatively, but he's got the green car of Peter Sowerby leaning on his back bumper. And up to Old Hall Corner. And Sowerby makes his move, goes down the inside into 4th place, past Jim Edwards Jr. We're riding with the man who is trying to save on points for the championship. Very close indeed to the back bumper of the green car of Sowerby. And Jim Edwards Jr. in 4th place is being caught now by a huge battle between Jason Templeman and Jim Edwards Sr. They're fighting for 6th and 7th places. Meanwhile, a great bit of defending still going on by Daniel Buxton, holding back David Gibson for that 2nd place. But it's all happening down at the hairpin, a 3-car stack. Oh! And that's not how you win the championship. And I think that was down-thumping Jimmy Edwards Jr. up the back. It's either him or Jason Templeman. They were side by side behind him. And full throttle in 2nd gear there stops the Clio from spinning. But that is about as close a call as you can get. Neatly down the gearbox, banging over the curbs in Knickerbrook. Doesn't want to be caught again by those men behind. And Jim Edwards Jr. now starting to open a little bit of a gap in that 5th place. Meanwhile, we'll look back to the first corner and watch the orange car there. Jan Prowse there just clips the nose of Jason Templeman's car as he jostles for position and off and out, but he is now running at the back of the field. But this really is a local derby match. Car number 9, Daniel Buxton from Northwich. Car number 1, David Gibson from Tarpley. Both Oulton Park locals. Both know this track like the back of their hands, and they are using absolutely every bit of their knowledge here to try and out-trick the other. Into Cascades, and again a very, very tight line from number 1 this time, but Gibson just can't get close enough to get his nose alongside their long-term rivals in saloon car racing. Both raced in the local championship here, now both racing as part of the British Touring Car support package. Great dice indeed, but number 9 was the quickest car on the track in qualifying, Daniel Buxton, but don't forget it's had that huge accident. It certainly doesn't look like it because they've done a great job on it, but I suspect the suspension geometry is not all it should be. It's very quick in a straight line, but you can see here he's going earlier on the brakes, he's defending more through the corners, and he's certainly hammering it over the curbs. Meanwhile, David Gibson just biding his time, perhaps waiting for the number 9 car to scrub off its tyres, and when he has the grip advantage, he will pounce. And closing in though, he can't afford to wait too long because Peter Sowerby, the man from Harmston, is closing in that 4th position. Through Old Hall Corner again, looking back from Daniel Buxton's car, running up over the curbs. That's where he went wrong in qualifying and ploughed into that barrier in 4th gear. Safely through this time though, down to Lodge Corner, drops away down the hill, the camber changes now, you can see the rear wheels go up in the air, then the G-force at the bottom of Deersley, the car goes a little bit light again on the run across the start finish line and up to Old Hall, starting another lap. Down the avenue, oh someone's not going to make it though, out of Lodge. Number 6, Andy Thompson, was in 11th place, he is now shuffled down to the back of the pack, but at least he's kept his car running. And let's have another look at that there. Contact with Mark Hunt there, just trying to close the door a little too late. Mark Hunt keeps going, but he's up into the 11th place while Andy Thompson is now back down in the high 20s.